how's it going? Today we are on chapter 2, section 8, titled The Meaning of the Last Judgment. It is a gorgeous day here. I just have to say, it is so bright outside, and it is a little bit after 1 o'clock as I'm recording this, 1:20 I think. And there are beautiful blue jays on the trees outside of me, and just within saying that, I've seen 2. And every time I see 2, there's always 3 or 4 more in the trees yonder. It's a nice cold day. It's probably about 17 degrees outside, and there's still snow on the ground, and it's just gorgeous. The sky is clear. I can actually see the blue of the sky. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I just thought I'd take a note to chat a little bit about my surroundings before I get started on the reading. Just because the concept of the last judgment, the idea of judgment is going to be discussed. And so it's really interesting. And so as I record this, I'm very aware of what my settings are and what a proper YouTube or proper recording for anybody ought to have: a good backdrop, good sound, good this, good that, be perfect in all of the ways. And as I do this, it's kind of fun because I've let a lot of that notion go. And so I thought I'd share quickly about the surroundings around me. And I'm not really sure why I'm doing this, except I feel led to. So it's kind of fun. So behind me right here, this is a little jewelry box that belonged to my husband's mother. And I inherited it when she passed away, when we were sorting through her things. And so seeing this always reminds me of my beloved mother-in-law, who I just adore and love. This thing right here is a metal hutch that folds open, and it had shelves, and I'm waiting for spring to put it in the garden and do something fun with that. Behind me over here is a new gift that my husband received for Christmas, which is a giant box. It's a sauna. And behind me is a television, which I love to use to watch YouTube when I do my workouts 3 times a week. And so these are all reminders of the blessings in my life. I'm sitting on a wooden chair that is an antique chair that's been in my family for decades, and my coat because I need it when it's cold. So as you watch these videos, just have some fun maybe in recognizing that the background isn't perfect utmost YouTube quality, but it is definitely very personal for me. And as weather brightens up, maybe I'll start doing these videos outside. I would do this in a different room in my home, but it's just nice and quiet in this room. And so I'm really enjoying getting started. And so on to the reading today, the meaning of the last judgment, setting our judgments aside. Let's see what this is about. Okay, so Section 1. One of the ways in which you can correct the magic miracle confusion is to remember that you did not create yourself. You are apt to forget this when you become egocentric, and this puts you in a position where a belief in magic is virtually inevitable. Your will to create was given you by your Creator, who was expressing the same will in his creation. Since creative ability rests in the mind, everything you create is necessarily a matter of will. It also follows that whatever you alone make is real in your own sight, though not in the mind of God. This basic distinction leads directly into the real meaning of the last judgment. 2. The last judgment is one of the most threatening ideas in your thinking. This is because you do not understand it. Judgment is not an attribute of God. It was brought into being only after the separation, when it became one of the many learning devices to be built into the overall plan. Just as the separation occurred over millions of years, the last judgment will extend over a similarly long period, and perhaps an even longer one. Its length can, however, be greatly shortened by miracles, the device for shortening but not abolishing time. If a sufficient number become truly miracle-minded, this shortening process can be virtually immeasurable. It is essential, however, that you free yourself from fear quickly, because you must emerge from the conflict if you are to bring peace to other minds. 3. The last judgment is generally thought of as a procedure undertaken by God. Actually, It will be undertaken by my brothers with my help. It is a final healing rather than a meting out of punishment, however much you may think that punishment is deserved. Punishment is a concept totally opposed to right-mindedness, and the aim of the Last Judgment is to restore right-mindedness to you. The Last Judgment might be called a process of right evaluation. It simply means that everyone will finally come to understand what is worthy and what is not. After this, the ability to choose can be directed rationally. Until this distinction is made, however, the vacillations between free and imprisoned will cannot but continue. 4. The first step toward freedom involves a sorting out of the false from the true. This is a process of separation in the constructive sense and reflects the true meaning of the apocalypse. Everyone will ultimately look upon his own creations and choose to preserve only what is good, just as God himself looked upon what he had created and knew that it was good. At this point, the mind can begin to look with love on its own creations because of their worthiness. At the same time, the mind will inevitably disown its miscreations, which, without belief, will no longer exist. 5. The term Last Judgment is frightening not only because it has been projected onto God, but also because of the association of last with death. This is an outstanding example of upside-down perception. If the meaning of the Last Judgment is objectively examined, it is quite apparent that it is really the doorway to life. No one who lives in fear is really alive. Your own Last Judgment cannot be directed toward yourself because you are not your own creation. You can, however, apply it meaningfully and at any time to everything you have made and retain in your memory only what is creative and good. This is what your right-mindedness cannot but dictate. The purpose of time is solely to give you time to achieve this judgment. It is your own perfect judgment of your own perfect creations. When everything you retain is lovable, there is no reason for fear to remain with you. This is your part in the atonement. This section reminded me of a really beautiful video that I had seen. A gentleman named Vinnie Tolman had shared about his near-death experience, and there's many of these online. And in this case, he was speaking to a small group of people in southern Utah, I believe, at a healing center. And he shared this experience of how when he had died, he saw that there were these areas, he described them as like these pearls, or it was like a string of pearls, but they were like these pods where people or souls would go into after they died, and it was for the people who needed healing. And they would go into these pods and kind of like tumble around, or I don't know exactly, I can't remember how he described it, but in my mind, it felt like they were being tumbled. And all of the misperceptions, the misbeliefs, the pain, the wounds were just kind of tumbled out of them. And for some individuals, it sounded like it could take what felt like years of our lifetime to kind of refine these things in them that they had brought with them that weren't healed in this life. And so when I read this, that's actually what I thought of, in the sense that this Last Judgment, the aim of it is to restore right-mindedness to you. And so what if the judgment, instead of appearing like a judgment bar, like many scriptures describe it, or we get this notion of a judgment bar and that there's a judge and that we're sorted into heaven or hell. But what if that judgment is a realization, I still have some things in me that need healing. I still have some misbeliefs, false beliefs that I took with me into the afterlife, and they don't fit in the place that I want to go. And so I have to unwind them and unravel and remove them from my belief system. I love this idea that this Last Judgment is kind of a place where we didn't refine those out in this life experience. So when we get there, we get the chance to clean it out. There was another line that I really liked in section 2. It says, just as the separation occurred over millions of years, the Last Judgment will extend over a similarly long period, and perhaps even a longer one. But its length can, however, be greatly shortened by miracles, the device for shortening but not abolishing time. I'm not sure what I think about that, that it took millions of years for the separation to happen, then it might take even longer. But what if that is the point of this life or our life experience? To learn how to overcome these misbeliefs and to have right thinking, right-mindedness. Let's see, I underlined a couple other things. Oh, the purpose of time is solely to give you time to achieve this judgment or this refining or this restoring of right-mindedness to us. And it's a final healing rather than a meeting out of punishment. Those are the things that I highlighted. I thought they were really great ideas. So those are my thoughts for the day. I'm curious what your thoughts were from today's reading. I'd love to hear them. Feel free to leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing what you have to say. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow.